In the module 1, we have talked about introduction to software engineering, and then we talk about different types of the software development lifecycle. In real-world scenarios, we often talk about how can we effectively deliver the most viable products to the customer, the clients, or the end users. Today, we're going to have an interview with Cliff Ashford, who is the director role. He has been experienced in the IT industry for 36 years. Hello, Cliff. Very nice to meet you. Could you please introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Nice to meet you too. My name is Cliff Ashford. As you say, I'm a director here at Monash University in the eSolutions area, which is our ICT function. I look after the area called EDAS, that's Enterprise Data and Academic Services, which essentially means all the enterprise systems such as finance and HR and other central systems, all of the information systems, as well as all the academic systems for supporting teaching and research and assessment, so Moodle, for example.
Oh, okay, I see. Thank you. And then, can you talk about what is happening in the past? Yeah, previously we often used the Waterfall software development style, but now we move to Agile. So at that time, how the Waterfall works? Yeah, can you briefly talk about that? Yeah.
I can, yeah. So when I graduated from university in 1988. Waterfall was the only way to do things.
That's right.
You planned things well in advance, you did things sequentially, you worked through all the requirements, all the analysis, all the design, all the development, all the QA, all the delivery.
Yeah, that's right.
We did that for 100% of projects.
Yeah.
Some it works really well. If you know exactly what you're going to deliver at the end of it, it can work remarkably well.
Okay.
If the business is moving at the time and changing, there's a very good chance with Waterfall you'll produce something that they no longer need.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yes, which is never popular when you do that. So from that point of view, it was very useful to me when the new philosophy of Agile came along, because it gave us a second way to deal with things. We didn't have to do everything the same way.
Yeah, that's right.
I was very glad to adopt it, because originally the Waterfall projects in the 1990s, a lot of them failed.
Oh.
You would deliver it, but it's not what people wanted, and then they didn't implement it.
That's right. That's why Agile nowadays, we focus on what is the value that we want to deliver. Yeah. What do the customer want? Yeah.
Yes. To keep in mind what value you're trying to deliver, rather than just get to the end of a delivery.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's the key point. Yeah.
It's been really interesting when it came on board, because the Agile process is deceptively difficult. Waterfall is quite simple to understand.
That's right.
Agile is not simple to understand.
It is flexible, it is undefined. It's about the concept. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, that's right.
It's keeping in mind the outcomes you're trying to achieve. Keeping people remembering it's not about the mechanics of the process. It's about understanding what you're trying to achieve at the end of this, and why the method helps you achieve what you want to. Really what it does is maintains agility, of course, Agile, but that's the ability to change direction rapidly if you see that the business has already moved on from what you're trying to do. It's very good at resolving poorly understood problems. You know you want to solve something, you're not sure how. So the Agile process lets you find your way towards the solution. Whereas Waterfall, you'd think you have the right solution, and you bet on that solution being correct, and you just go for it.
Yeah, I see. So are you part of the transformation process as well? Like how I'm just curious, like how do you convince the senior people role to transform to change from Waterfall to the Agile process? Yeah.
It is difficult, because again, business understands Waterfall, they understand project management, they understand Gantt charts, they can see why you do things sequentially. To change that methodology to say, we're going to have meetings every 2 weeks with you. We're going to discuss what you want to do.
Yeah, that's right.
We will educate you as you educate us through the process. That's quite uncomfortable for people, and it depends upon trust.
And most of the time, actually, they have no idea as well what do they want.
No, they don't. It's very unfamiliar to them.
Yeah.
It's much easier the second project you do than the first one. The first one's quite hard. Once they've been through it the first time, they understand the value of it, and then move forward. I suppose that big thing is it can't just sit in the IT space. The business has to be part of the Agile process as well. And that's asking a lot from people. Everyone has full calendars, everyone's busy. And then all of a sudden I come along and say, we want to have a stand-up meeting. We want to have this meeting every 2 weeks. We want to have that meeting. It's a big commitment.
I see. I see.
But it pays off. It's night and day.
I see. And I'm pretty sure that right now at Monash University, we use Agile as well. So right now, how many products that you oversee at the moment? What is the size of the team? How many people within the department? Yeah.
Okay. So my department, EDAS, we have something like 150 people.
150 people.
It's a large function, and it's only part of the overall IT function of the university. The university has something in the order of 1,200 systems. I look after, now I've never counted them recently, it's something like 120 systems.
120 systems, that's huge,
There's a lot going on, and all of these are evolving and changing all the time. They all have to be secure, they all have to deliver what the university needs continually.
That's right.
So it's a constant piece of work. We generally use two flavors of Agile. So if we're looking after the operational systems, we essentially use Kanban.
Okay, Kanban.
So the work is coming in, we're keeping the system running, we're making sure that the backups happen, making sure that any problems get resolved, minor fixes, upgrades, all of those things go through with Kanban. If we're doing something new or a major step change for something, we'll use something closer to Scrum. We will stand up a team specifically for it, a multidisciplinary team with a Scrum Master who will come in. That will then work with the business about it. So if it's a new product, as I say, or Moodle, for example, we just took Moodle from version 3.9 to version 4.1. Essentially, we rebuilt it from scratch. So we ran that as an Agile program because a lot of the things we wanted to do, we weren't entirely sure what we wanted to do. So we had to work with our academics, with our students to say, okay, can we try this? Can we try that? Is this the right thing to do? What's the most important thing to do?
I see.
And what we ended up with is not what we started with at the start of the year. Because everyone learns.
I see.
So it worked really well, I believe. Everyone seems very happy with it. It's gone well. That's the pattern we use on most things. But we still do waterfall. So if we buy a large system off the shelf, something that's commodity, you know what it's got to do. It's the same in any industry how you'd use that system. You know what your outcome is going to be at the end of it. You understand what you're trying to achieve. That's a very waterfall piece. And it's partly because it's a multi-year piece of work, partly because we know what we're going to do, partly because the vendors have to work that way because they have to stand up large resources to work with us as well. So that would have requirements and design and a big Gantt chart that stretches over several years. It might have little Agile projects around the side of it that overlap with it, but the core of it would be waterfall still.
I see. I understand. And then when you run the Agile process, that kind of thing, what are the biggest challenge or behind the Agile process?
So Agile, as I say, was designed for small software companies to develop a single product. That's what they were trying to do. Monash is huge. And some of the other places I've worked are huge. So I'm trying to think how many people we have in the university. It's hard to count the people in the university, but it's something like 15,000 people. There's many departments, many things going on, many parallel pieces of work. So when you take Agile and apply it to something like Monash, you have to tune it for the local environment. You can't just take an Agile book off the shelf and go, we'll follow this.
That's right.
Doesn't work. So we introduced Agile to Monash, I think about 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
We used a thing called SAFE, which is the Scaled Agile Framework, which is designed to work on large organizations and help prioritize between different competing streams of work. Because just because they're all separate Agile teams doesn't mean they can all go live at the same time and they're not dependencies between them. So that's what it handles. We ran with SAFE until about 2 years ago, and then we dropped SAFE because we knew enough ourselves about how to do like a Monash version of SAFE. So we reimagined it in the local context. What was key was that prioritization across the organization. So the IT function here, I have 150 people. There's a few other departments that have 100 or 150 people. We have to work with each other. We have to make sure the network works at the right time, and we do the right work on the firewall, and that when we're building one of our systems, we also do the integration, and we pull things up in the mobile app. There's lots of dependencies around these things. So we have representatives from each of the areas who meet twice a week to discuss priorities. So we work on 2 weekly sprints. We're all synchronized on 2 weekly sprints. And we make sure that we're synchronized about what goes into the next sprint so that we're not holding one of the other areas up. So that's a level on top of normal Agile that we had to implement at the university to allow us to make sure that we were not tripping up over each other as we rolled these projects through.
Right, I see. And I think there are, I'm sure there are lots of challenges behind, but also there are lots of benefits as well. So after implementing the Agile framework for over 8 years now, what do you see as the main benefits of this?
Well, I think it's one of the things I should ask the university to answer, because our delivery rate has increased markedly at the university. We were seen as too slow in responding to changes at university, and Agile was brought in to speed that up. Nothing happens overnight in any organization, but it is, I believe we're much faster and much more responsive to the needs of the university now. And we're, again, delivering things people want rather than things people wanted 3 years ago.
Right. I see. Okay. And I'm pretty sure when we run the software development process over the years, we want to improve things as well. Think about the CMMI, maturity capability, that kind of thing. So how do you... have you think about how can we improve the Agile process over time as well? What do you do to improve it?
Well, we have refined it, and we've worked it several times. At times we tried to make one process fit everybody. Other times we introduced a version of Scrum Band, so partly Kanban, partly Scrum. In the end, we decided that separating them works better. For a while, we were sort of bending some of the rules of Agile as well, with a bit of overlap between the teams, and we stopped doing that. We use product managers. So we have a product manager will be responsible for several of the things at university. So we'd have a product manager for Moodle, for example, and generally a few of the other educational systems that sit around Moodle. At one time, we would have a Scrum team and have more than one product manager. That was a bad idea, because then they're fighting over the response. So now for any given team, there's a single product manager. And if there's other things coming in, they negotiate outside of the team. We also have a couple of other roles. We have service delivery manager, which is something you wouldn't have in a software house. And their job is to maintain the existing service. And because you're always having to...
So it's more of the infrastructure, that kind of thing?
Yep, the infrastructure, the upgrades. If there's a new cyber threat arises, we have to do some work on it. A lot of those things, even just negotiating the price with the vendor. A lot of those things fall to the service delivery manager. And a lot of times they need the team to do some work as well. So they're negotiating with the product manager over what happens in any given sprint. And there's a third piece which people forget about. There's a continuous improvement piece we want to do with the team. Our developers need to get better at development. They need to move towards DevOps. Our quality assurance people need to get better at quality assurance, less manual, more automation. Our business analysts need to get better at their skills, etc. So each of these areas are trying to improve their personal discipline. And some of the things they will do then have to fit into how the team runs. So when we developed DevOps internally, it took us a long time to get to a DevOps situation. You do have to do some work on the systems. So yes, the product manager is listening to the business saying we need to do this work. Service delivery manager is listening to the vendor saying we need to upgrade on the 2nd of July. But we're also going, well, we have to do these things for DevOps, and we need some time to fit that into our delivery as well. So every sprint is a competition of 3 different things about how much capacity you give to each of those 3 areas in a sprint. What do you get the most value out of?
I see. Thank you so much. And so probably, is there anything else that you want to inspire and the student to become a great software engineer?
I mean, I see it as a profession, and people should be professional. This isn't about box ticking. It's caring about doing your job really well, understanding it, keeping yourself educated. It moves faster than ever these days.
Yeah, exactly.
So
with the new AI things as well,
everything,
generative AI, ChatGPT, it will transform and affect the software industry a lot.
Completely changes the job. So to not take that into account, you're instantly left behind. I spent a lot of time on my career making sure I'm always up to date. I'm always checking my ideas. It's easy to use something you did a few years ago to try and solve a problem now. And sometimes it might be right, but sometimes you're already behind the times. You need to learn better tools. You need to keep up to date. That's vitally important. I rely on all of my teams advising me about this, because if I'm saying, do this, and they went, oh no, that's how we'd have done it 10 years ago. You need to do it this way, boss. That's really important. And being able to have that conversation, feedback to me where we're going, keeping in touch with external areas, don't get siloed. Make sure you're part of external organizations. Make sure you read continually about this. As I say, it's forever changing. Don't get stuck on any tools as well. Everybody likes their favorite tools, but again, things change so fast. Be ready to move. Flexibility is the key. So it's like Agile with a small a is what you have to be as an individual. Otherwise, you get left behind. So professionalism is what it's about.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, professionalism, communication, learning, they are all important skill set for the student. Yeah. So thank you so much, Cliff. Yeah. And I think today the students have learned a lot from you. Yeah. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure.